We just saw Muppets Most Wanted here opening night. The new Muppet movie, the sequel, or sort of sequel to the last one, the sequel to the Jason Segel sort of resurgence of the Muppets, the new Muppet movie that came out a couple years ago. And just real quick, kind of our overview thoughts. Did we like it? Did we not? Who would like it? Who wouldn't like it? Before we kind of get into the details. I was surprised. I was really disappointed with this movie. It felt really muddled. It felt really empty. It felt like they had like 2 ideas or 3 ideas, and they kept trying to chop it up further and further. It had a feel of like every scene was directed by a different director, and then they just sort of slammed them all together at the end. Just a very messy story arcs, and really oddly, like, it's not that it's not for kids, but I think kids will be bored by this movie. I think there's not very much to hold their interest. There's a lot of humor that's like text that you have to read on the screen, and subtitles and newspapers and things like that. So, yeah, unfortunately, this is not a good movie. I would say go back and watch the Jason Segel version, or watch one of the original movies. This one probably is more on par with some of the later, early, Muppet movies, like the more of the direct-to-video kind of stuff than the theatrical stuff. Just really didn't have the magic of the last one, and yeah, I don't think I'll be taking my kids to this. It's just too mushed, too ugh. What did you think?
I'll play devil's advocate on this one.
Okay.
I'm not as well versed with the whole modern day Muppets phenomenon, but I thought it was entertaining.
Yeah.
I thought it still had some of the charm of the whole nostalgic Muppets thing, and I don't know how much of that's just in me versus what's really going on screen, but I thought it was charming. I thought it was entertaining. Plot-wise, obviously, it's kind of silly, but like it was fun seeing Ricky Gervais and Tina Fey play really big parts, and just an unbelievable amount of cameos. Some of them were really, really humorous, like Usher, being an Usher. So I found it fun, and I do agree with whether it was perfectly suited for kids, because there was a lot of kind of ironic humor going on, a lot of kind of a satire of itself at times, but all in all, I mean, there was plenty of laughs.
Yeah, I don't remember like any joke really connecting with the whole audience. I actually don't remember you laughing that much through the movie. And kids, there were tons of kids in the movie that weren't really laughing all that much. Like, some of the slapstick was getting through.
Yeah, it was more snigger kind of laugh than out loud. That's a good point. There wasn't a whole lot of audience reaction, really.
But there was a point like 40 minutes in where I could hear like kids getting restless and people telling their kids to like quiet down, and like they were losing track of what was going on.
I'll concede that point.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the quick fix. To get into more of the details, I mean, really what, and you haven't seen the Jason Segel sort of resurgence, but Jason Segel wrote sort of a love letter script to the Muppets and got them to make it with him. He spent like 5 years working on it and writing it and perfecting it. And it's, that's if you're into the Muppets for nostalgia, that's the movie to see. You will laugh and you will cry.
Literally, the last Muppets thing I seen was in Disneyland in Florida a couple of years ago.
But I mean, like, it's as good or better as, the original Muppet movie or the Muppets Take Manhattan or any of that kind of stuff. And it does a good job of updating the story, updating the
where they're
Muppets
at now
to
and what's
the 21st century and all of that. And it plays the plot of the first movie. I mean, they had a lot more to work with, which was they had to get the Muppets back together, which
they alluded to that in this movie, I guess.
Yeah, that's a story they've done before, and it would have been a bummer to see them do it again with this. But then they go right ahead and forget that it's important to listen to Kermit, right off the bat. And then the thing in the trailer that they show, the sort of central storyline, is that Kermit is mistaken for Constantine, this evil version of Kermit the Frog who just has a mole, and that's the only difference between the two. So Kermit gets taken to the gulag with Tina Fey, and Constantine tries to pretend to be Kermit the Frog so that he and Ricky Gervais can steal the crown jewels and be the biggest bad guys of all time. And that story arc probably accounts for about 25 to 30 minutes of screen time, peppered through the rest of the story, which the rest of the story is just like unnecessary songs,
some gags,
filler, just padding. There's a story arc where like Miss Piggy's all excited because the fake Kermit is like interested in getting married to her, and so they go through all of that. They throw a ton of cameos at the screen, which, I mean, that's kind of a standard Muppet trope, but they're all pretty, like, really niche people, like, not really recognizable faces.
Well, some were.
I mean, some were recognizable, and some of them weren't, and some of them, like, they had to go and, you know, like, they introduced you to some of them, like Christoph Waltz is in their Berlin show, and Salma Hayek's in the Madrid show, and they introduced them, and they have a couple of lines, or if you're Christopher Waltz, they just make fun of his name, and that's it, and he dances
that
off.
was a little so sharp, but...
and that's over. But there's just not a lot of comedy, there's not a lot of dense comedy in it. The emotional beats feel really forced and really like duh kind of moments. Like, we've been setting this up from the beginning. I don't know. After seeing, like, this year's been really good for family movies. The Lego Movie was really, really good. Peabody and Sherman was really, really good. This movie just isn't up to the same standards as those, and it really felt like, you know, I'm not going to say that it was the lack of Jason Segel per se that kind of took the wind out of this movie. The production quality was really good. The puppeteering was fantastic. Kermit seemed more like there was more articulation in his face than I've ever seen before. They were really the person operating him was doing a really good job, and the Constantine version of him was really cool. Just if it had better writing, better jokes, more densely packed stuff, and if there was more there for kids to sort of connect to, it just seemed like they would change scenes, and you would be like when you're following Ty Burrell and Sam the Eagle. It's sort of like, you know, there's that whole subplot of Ty Burrell and Sam the Eagle are trying to capture Constantine, and they're trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
And that's totally disconnected from the rest of what's going on, to where if you're a kid and you're watching that and you don't like Sam the Eagle or you don't like Ty Burrell,
it's just going to be downtown.
Or don't get the jokes, every time they come on screen, it's like,
yeah,
this is boring, this is dumb.
They all meet up at the end, but yeah, being if it's aimed for kids, then
yeah. It's also you know, one of those movies that all the funny stuff is in the trailer.
Right.
All the funny stuff is in the trailer.
Although it is, I do like the gag with the mole. He's exactly Kermit without the mole, and with the mole he's Constantine.
It's funny.
Kind of like that Bruce Wayne can't be Batman because Bruce Wayne wears glasses.
Yeah, it's funny, and I mean, it can work. Unfortunately, this isn't the movie. I would definitely say, I mean, if you haven't seen the other Muppet movie, definitely check that one out.
Yeah.
The Muppets with Jason Segel, and I watched the original Muppet movie not too long ago. That one's strange because it doesn't quite hold up. Like, it's not. It's great for people that like grew up with the Muppet Show, and it's kind of the next, like, a logical step from the Muppet Show, but it has a very old school, late
vibe.
70s sort of vibe to it.
Yeah.
And there too, like they make the same. It's kind of interesting. Like they've made the same mistakes of the cameos are funny, like in their time frame, but you watch it now and like there's no way kids are gonna
it's not relevant.
recognize like Steve Martin or
sure,
people like that, which we still recognize and we still think are funny. But they just have a lot more to do in those earlier movies, or they have a line that's funny that because it's them saying it kind of thing.
It did feel like there was. I mean, I enjoyed all the cameos, but it did feel like some of them were just put in there to be in there. There was no real reason for them to be, except we could get them on the day.
Like Ray Liotta.
Yeah.
Like what a waste. Like Ray Liotta just like is sort of there.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious. Like he just.
Well, I guess it was kind of funny that he normally plays kind of like gritty, kind of tough guys, and it was kind of funny to see. Well, he's still in a prison with a tattoo and stuff, but when they do their funny, is the dance stuff and whatnot.
It felt like they didn't write for who they got. It felt like they wrote scenes that they could just sort of insert people
kind of shoehorned in. Yeah.
And there's that scene at the end where they do like the finale. And everybody's like stuck to that wall in Siberia, and there's these really bad composites of like people's heads on bodies.
Right.
Like all the cameos reappear, but it's like their head, like Usher reappears and his head is like really badly composited onto this wall.
Sure.
It's just like
a reprise.
Okay.
Whatever way they could do it.
That happened. All right. But yeah, I don't know. Like when Celine Dion is like your ace in the hole, here's this musical number with a surprise guest. It's like, man, she was like 1997, guys.
No, I'm not so. I mean, was she maybe in any way fitting to Miss Piggy though? In the sense that Celine Dion's known for her really boisterous.
Yeah,
maybe it fitted Miss Piggy.
And it was funny. I thought it was because Miss Piggy does this Celine Dion song before Celine Dion shows up. So they kind of set that part of it up. What I'm getting at is that Celine Dion's not a current reference for kids.
Sure, yeah.
Like, kids don't know
the 90s kind of
Titanic.
Thing. Sure,
They don't know My Heart Will Go On. They don't know, and I don't know how you, I don't know who you, Lady Gaga is in this movie.
Yeah, very quickly.
For a second.
Yeah.
And
they had a reference to Rihanna on the phone, but you don't really see. Well, yeah.
It's just sort of weird, like, they couldn't find anybody else for, they couldn't find even, like, Katy Perry or even just somebody, like, a little bit more...
relevant now.
More relevant and more...
Especially to kids.
That kids would actually recognize.
That's a good point. Know
who that was, but
yeah.
But yeah, I don't want to just sit here and completely rain on the movie. It was well made. It's just, man, the story didn't do it for me, and the humor didn't do it for me. So that's kind of.
I thought it was entertaining. I obviously liked it better than you, but I think you brought up some good points.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for us. We'll see you next time.